Alright guys, I think it's time to finally go through all of the new information the Dinosaur Protection Group has written about the Gene Guard Act. For those of you who may still be unaware, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom's new viral marketing campaign is centered around a website, similarly to how the last film was promoted back in 2015. Now, this particular site has recently dropped a ton of information that explores certain parts of the Jurassic Park lore to a degree that has previously never been attempted. And within this huge amount of revealing material, they've happened to actually go into detail about the laws and legislation between the United States and Costa Rica's restriction of Site B. Now, we all know that after the events of The Lost World, John Hammond gave a public statement on what would become of Isla Sorna. He made it abundantly clear that it was very important for his company and the government itself to work with the Costa Rican Department of Biological Preserves to establish a set of rules for the preservation and isolation of the island. This is why Isla Sorna was listed as restricted at the beginning of Jurassic Park 3, and more than likely why Isla Nublar was the island chosen for construction for Jurassic World. Up until now, we were under the impression that Isla Sorna was still a safe and restricted biological preserve left untouched by man for both the safety of the general public as well as the animals themselves. That is, until now. To understand what exactly is going on, we need to go back to the beginning of Site B's setup as a dinosaur reservation. You see, in 1997, the Ethical Negligence Within Paleogenetic Resurrection Bill, ENPGR or Gene Guard Act for short, was passed in response to the events of the Santiago incident. I'm sure you all remember what that was. This bill was formed by the U.S. House Committee of Science, who were working with key members of InGen senior management. This would have been guys higher up, similar to Peter Ludlow or John Hammond himself if he was reinitiated into the company after the failure of Jurassic Park Santiago. The act was designed to give the existing dinosaur specimens that InGen created the same rights and protections as other endangered animals, as well as restrict any further access to the islands owned by InGen. As of 1997, these creatures were given full endangered status and the island was closed to the public. This bill also included another major restriction apart from visiting the dinosaur islands. From now on, it was also absolutely prohibited for InGen to clone any new prehistoric life forms. And at the time, the company seemed dedicated to upholding these strict ethical regulations concerning them. Somewhere in a small apartment within America, I'm sure Ian Malcolm let out a major sigh of relief after hearing this news. Well, shortly after the ENPGR bill was passed, John Hammond would unfortunately die. After already being visibly ill in The Lost World, it would seem that either the excitement of having his nephew steal his company away from him, or simple elderly age itself, had taken a massive toll on John's health. And with Mr. Hammond's death came the passing of ownership for this genetics company. Masrani Global would absorb InGen and adopt their responsibilities for making sure that these regulations were all still being practiced well after John's passing. However, in 2003, high-standing members of the UHCS revised the strict laws surrounding the act and publicly stated their confidence in Masrani Global's promise to right the wrongs of the past. That's the first big red flag. This resulted in the Gene Guard Act becoming watered down and allowed the Fortune 500 company to pursue the creation and growth of new animals to showcase in the upcoming Jurassic World. Fast forward to 3 months after the 2015 incident where the Indominus Rex broke out and caused several disturbing casualties, and the US Congress decided that it would open an inquiry into a potential violation of the Gene Guard Act. By the way, it's important to note that an ongoing inquiry into Dr. Henry Wu's bioethical misconduct is also being pursued. Now, the reason the United States chose to look into such a violation was because several employees of Masrani Global and InGen actually stepped forward to disclose incriminating evidence against their employers. They knew something that they needed to tell the world about after such a chaotic event ended up closing Jurassic World's doors for good. Come to find out, many of the dinosaur species present on Isla Nublar turned out to be new species cloned before the bill was watered down in 2003. That bill, by the way, happened to get changed by the U.S. House Committee of Science through a corrupt and willfully misleading process. That red flag is looking pretty serious now. So what exactly happened to the bill? Well, in 2003, a representative of Masrani Global, whose name was conveniently scratched from any records by the way, brought the Gene Guard Act to the UHCS requesting to have the restrictions on further development be lifted for reasons of medical advancement. This representative pledged they would entirely uphold the existing duty and care toward older specimens, but requested the right to responsibly develop new gene splicing techniques. Now, they claim that they wanted this change to help safeguard the animals from genetic anomalies or hereditary diseases that could potentially arise and harm the dinosaurs, and also said that further work could help eradicate many diseases in the normal animal kingdom and humans as well. Well, guess what? In 2015, a paper trail was discovered and authorities were able to find out that key members of the board were, quote, bought and paid for to help water down the Gene Guard Act. These guys were harvesting the rewards from the new park and being paid through Masrani Global's profits. They ended up getting discharged of all their legal duties, and some of them even served jail time. Information surrounding the illegally bred species surfaced online after an anonymous hacker known as published sensitive InGen documents. Key revelations included the facts that in just 100 days after the company was bought by Masrani Global, InGen began cloning new species on Isla Sorna and experimented on these dinosaurs for 9 months after birth. These creatures were filed under early R&D for Jurassic Park's second incarnation, as well as the amalgam testing. A while back, we learned that Henry Wu was involved in an experiment with gene splicing, something Masrani Global publicly claimed they wanted to pursue in 2003, and ended up creating an accident that the scientists left on Sorna. This dinosaur was presumed to be Jurassic Park 3's highly aggressive Spinosaurus, a creature who happens to be included within the list of new dinosaurs created during InGen's violation of the Gene Guard Act. Corythosaurs and Chylosaurs and Ceratosaurs were also created illegally during this time frame, and all of these animals would become abandoned on Site B until it was time for InGen to come and ready the survivors for transport into Jurassic World. We don't know if they picked up the Spinosaurus and took it to Isla Nublar just yet, but we do know that in 2003, Wu said his gene splicing accident was abandoned. Again, that was before 2005, when Jurassic World opened its doors. Now, Dr. Grant happened to see the Spinosaurus Masrani created with his own eyes, and tried to go to the authorities with information on its existence, which he knew had to be illegal. But the information he tried to share was quickly buried by more bribed officials. Because of all the bribery and illegal species that ended up getting made, the Gene Guard Act's validity has become kind of frowned upon by the general public. Everyone heard John Hammond give that amazing speech on TV after the T-Rex rampaged through San Diego, and their minds raced with the reality that living, breathing dinosaurs were out there somewhere on a mysterious island, protected from further harm and isolated from the rest of the world. So when the world found out that members of InGen's board happened to be really similar to good old Peter Ludlow, the guy responsible for bringing the Rex to civilization, their worlds were quickly shattered, and a new reality of negligence and ethical misconduct was brought to light after Jurassic World was destroyed. Despite all of this, John Hammond's dream lives on in the form of Claire Deering and the other members of the Dinosaur Protection Group. These people still believe in what the Gene Guard Act stood for and are now working hard at making sure that the endangered dinosaurs' rights are not only fully understood by the general public, but also trying to save the animals and send them to a new home that will finally be regulated and restricted the way it was always intended to be. With all of that being said, I think it's safe to say that Fallen Kingdom is going to rely heavily on themes, ideas, and consequences that were first brought about in the Lost World. Remember back when the Spinosaurus' existence was questioned by Alan Grant and Billy in Jurassic Park 3? Yeah, well, now we know that it wasn't just some dino that InGen conveniently forgot to tell anyone about. In closing, I want to say that the end of the Lost World was just as important as a send-off to me as the original Jurassic Park was. Hearing John Hammond tell everyone that dinosaurs and man can never peacefully coexist with one another without chaos ensuing, and actually working hard in his final moments of life to try and preserve their habitats and homes, as well as isolate them away from any civilians in fear of more blood on his hands, was really powerful to me as a kid. He learned his lessons from the first movie, but was fortunate enough to give the people of the world the ability to say that I live alongside dinosaurs. He was able to leave his footsteps behind despite Jurassic Park becoming a failure, and you could tell that he was very happy to do so. With all of this new information coming out about his accomplishment being tampered with and violated by members of InGen's board, it really infuriates the little kid inside of me. Now, the adult that I've grown into is able to recognize that, yeah, this actually makes a lot of sense. Not only does it reveal where the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3 came from, it also brings up how Jurassic World was even created after Hammond made Isla Sorna a biological preserve. We all thought Site B was a safe haven for the dinosaurs after we saw the second movie, and even though it currently isn't, we still have the chance at seeing the animals ferried off of Isla Nublar, Noah's Ark style, and given the chance of actually making John Hammond's dream become a real reality. But then again, we have to think back a little further to really understand the logic in all of this. John Hammond may have been a sweet old man with a dinosaur amusement park in his mind, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't innocent in all of this. Genetic power is the most awesome force this planet has ever seen, and he wielded it like a kid who'd found his dad's gun. I mentioned this in my video on what the future of the Jurassic World franchise would entail, but I think it's important for me to go ahead and say it again. The sins of Jurassic Park have never been realized in full. Ian Malcolm's eerie warning about the unpredictability of complex systems has only taken baby steps forward with the second and fourth entries in the series. Now we're about to enter what Michael Crichton wrote out as the paradigm shift. Everything is about to look different on the other side. Dinosaurs and man are two species separated by 65 million years of evolution, both of which have just been suddenly thrown back into the mix together. Colin Trevorrow has stated that that was the single quote that inspired Fallen Kingdom. How can we possibly know what to expect? Now before I go, I want to thank my game wardens, including Ryan Hamster and Mike Wu, as well as my InGen executives. I also want to thank my park workers and engine hunters as well. Will Camillo, it's awesome to see you show such support and pledging to the channel, dude, and I seriously appreciate all of what all of you do to help build the channel into a bigger and better place every day. Now, I'd like to thank all of you for watching this video and hope that you all enjoyed today's content. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope that you'll consider subscribing so that you can hear from me again. I'll see you all in the next video, guys, and as always, take it easy.